After 12 years, I returned to my sister's wedding. The incredible reunion revealed hidden love. Jack's knuckles turned white on the steering wheel as he pulled into the town he swore never to return to. The sun shone bright over Maplewood, illuminating the familiar tree-lined streets that felt both comforting and suffocating. Memories of childhood laughter echoed in his mind, distant yet haunting. As he drove past the local diner, he spotted familiar faces turning to look, their eyes filled with a mixture of pity and judgment. It felt as if his heart was being squeezed in an iron grip, the regret clawing at him like a wild animal. He had sacrificed family for what he thought was the American dream, and now he was left with a pit in his stomach as he prepared for Sarah's wedding, a day meant for joy but now thick with tension. Jack parked his truck, the rumble of the engine fading into the background noise of wedding preparations. The scent of blooming flowers mixed with the smell of fried foods from the vendors setting up outside the venue. Everything was beautiful, yet he felt out of place. As he stepped out, cluttered emotions swirled in him. The veil of nostalgia tangled with a heavy realization. How had he let it come to this? He hadn't spoken to Sarah in years, not since that bitter argument where ambition eclipsed their bond. As he entered the garden where the ceremony was set to take place, he spotted Sarah in her wedding dress, radiating happiness. A pang shot through him. He had missed so much. The memories flooded back, each one digging deeper into his heart. They had shared so much laughter, heartbreak, and dreams. Would he ever be forgiven? He noticed Mia, Sarah's best friend, adjusting decorations nearby, her smile brightening the gloomy day. She had been the anchor during their family's storm, always understanding, always supportive. Something within him stirred, feelings he thought were buried long ago. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. The ceremony began, beautiful and heartfelt, but Jack's chest tightened as the moment drew closer. He noticed his sister's joyful tears, and guilt washed over him anew. He had chosen a life of solitude over family. As he pulled his gaze from Sarah to Mia, he felt an undeniable connection, a spark that ignited old feelings. But the weight of their past loomed large. Then, chaos erupted. The skies turned dark and a loud crash echoed through the festivities. A broken water main had flooded the venue, threatening to ruin everything. The community sprang into action, old neighbors and friends he hadn't seen in ages. Jack's heart raced. Maybe this was his chance to step up, to prove he still cared. He rolled up his sleeves and joined them, using his skills as a mechanic to fix the crisis. As he worked alongside Sarah and the others, something shifted. Laughter mixed with frustration, and amid the frenzy, he began to reconnect. Step by step, they moved from being siblings at odds to partners in chaos. But as Sarah threw him a grateful smile, he could almost hear the unspoken questions weighing down the air. Just when Jack was ready to confess the whirlwind of emotions swirling within him, the wedding bells rang, cutting through the clamor. A shocking revelation shattered the moment, secrets tumbling forth like confetti. The community gasped in disbelief, and Jack stood at a crossroads, pulse racing, heart torn between dreams and family. Would he grab onto the hope before him, or would he let the shadows of the past pull him back? The moment hung heavy, heavy with promise yet burdened by uncertainty, leaving Jack standing still, unsure of what step would come next. As the gasps echoed in the air, Jack felt a deep chill run through him. Words tangled, each one hovering just out of reach. The revelation had come from the other side of the garden, a collective murmur rising as Ian, the town's longtime handyman, stepped forward with a shaky voice. His hands trembled slightly as he spoke, unveiling secrets that left ripples of shock coursing through the crowd. "Sarah, there's something I need to tell you. About your mother," Ian said, his voice heavy with emotion. A trembling silence fell over the gathering, everyone leaning in, hearts racing with anticipation. Jack's gaze locked on Sarah, her face shifting from joy to confusion, then to something darker. Hurt flickered in her eyes as the truth pierced through the celebrations. The steady beat of the ceremony had been upended. Familiar faces transformed into an audience wrapped in disbelief, whispers curling around like smoke. Jack could feel Sarah's pain tightening like a noose around his chest. He longed to reach out, to pull her back from the edge of this emotional cliff, but the weight of years spent apart held him captive. The wind picked up, rustling the leaves overhead as Mia moved closer, her expression a mix of dread and concern. Jack caught her eye, and for a fleeting moment, they silently acknowledged the bond they had shared. It was more than the past, it was the raw ache of what could have been, the dreams deferred by pride and ambition. As the wind howled, Ian continued, unveiling hidden truths of Sarah's childhood that were better left buried. Your mother, she had her reasons. I'm just a messenger, but you deserve to know. Jack flinched. There was no turning back now. Every word felt like a brick being laid on the foundation of their already strained relationship. Sarah took a step back, her wedding dress swirling as if it could shield her from the storm of emotions surrounding her. Sarah, Jack called, the primal urge to console her rushing forth. But she turned away, tears glistening in the corners of her eyes. They stayed locked in this emotional standoff as the heavy weight of unspoken feelings and regret loomed between them. As a community, they had come together for love, yet now they stood divided over buried secrets. The atmosphere shifted, the festive decorations suddenly feeling more like mocking remnants of what was supposed to be a happy day. With every second, Jack felt the rift deepen, and he realized this moment was not just about Sarah's wedding. It was about their family defining its future against the ghost of the past. Just then, Sarah pivoted, her face set in a determined resolve, and stepped closer to the pulpit. I need the truth, she called out, her voice echoing in the stillness like a cracking whip. And whatever it is, I deserve to hear it. At that, Jack's heart seized. The depths of their fractured family history were surfacing, bringing with them the fear of what lay ahead. He was about to voice the feelings that had been bottled up for far too long when Mia drew in a sharp breath. Wait. There's something you should know. Every heartbeat felt like a drum in his ears. What could Mia possibly have to say? Jack clenched his fists, desperately hoping that the revelation would tear their world apart entirely. What had they all carefully avoided discussing? As tension thickened, Jack found himself on the precipice of discovery, ready to confront not only the past, but also the reality of their shared future. In that moment, he understood one thing. The next words spoken could change everything. Would they uncover the truth of their family's legacy, or would they remain tangled in the web of unspoken emotions? As the crowd held its breath, Jack faced the eye of the storm, ready to fight for his chance at redemption, but at what cost? Mia took a step forward, the weight of her words almost visible in the air. Sarah, she said, her voice trembling, I've been meaning to tell you something. It's about your mother, too. The low murmur spread like wildfire through the crowd, curiosity and dread mixing into a potent cocktail. Sarah's eyes widened, a mixture of hope and dread blooming within her. Jack could see the flicker of emotions warring inside her. Would this be the answer she was seeking, or another nail in the coffin of their family's complex legacy? He took a breath, his fingers itching to reach for her but not daring. This was her moment to confront whatever darkness had shadowed her past. What do you know? Sarah demanded, her tone firm despite the quiver in her voice. If there's something I need to know, then just say it. Mia swallowed hard, her eyes darting between Sarah and Jack, searching for support. Jack felt the grip of the moment tighten around his heart. He stood there, feeling painfully aware of how entangled they were in this emotional web, wondering if he would ever truly be able to help. I found something a while ago, Mia confessed, shaking slightly as she spoke. Letters. Your mother wrote them to me before she left. She didn't just leave because she wanted to. There was more at stake. She was scared. The air thickened again, a collective inhale as the audience processed Mia's words. Jack felt a fire igniting in him. Fear, panic, but also something else, a deep-seated desire to protect Sarah from the truth that might jeopardize the fragile relationship they had begun to rebuild. Scared of what? Sarah asked sharply, an edge to her voice that told Jack she wasn't going to back down this time. Mia took a shaky breath. Scared of her past. There were secrets she never wanted you to discover, things that could hurt you, like memories of a family she was forced to leave behind. Jack's mind raced, colliding with old echoes and new realizations. This burden could splinter their reconciliation all over again. How many times had they walked through a minefield of unspoken truths? But he felt a swell of hope too, that perhaps this was the moment for honesty to finally confront the shadows that had loomed too long. "Tell me more," Sarah urged, her voice cutting through the swirling emotions. "I can handle it." Courage shone in her eyes, igniting something within Jack, a fierce admiration for the woman she had become. Gathering her resolve, Mia nodded, bringing the gathered letters from the depths of her bag. The crowd shifted, the mundane world outside the garden suddenly fading away, leaving only the sacred space of discovery before them. Inside Jack a storm waged, battling the urge to step in, to protect, against the weight of truth and the desperate need for Sarah to hear every word. He felt exposed, vulnerable, standing on the edge of family ties fraying even further. As Mia slowly began to read the letters, Jack felt the intensity of the moment boil over. Every sentence that slipped past Mia's lips became a revelation, a flash of light illuminating the dark corners of their family history once hidden away. With each word, he could see Sarah grappling with the truths unfolding around her, but as shadows broke into light, Jack couldn't shake the feeling something bigger loomed on the horizon, a truth even deeper than what lay on the pages. What more could be revealed in the chapters of their tangled history? Would the truth lead them to healing, or deepen the wounds that had just begun mending? All eyes were glued to Mia, but Jack's heart raced with fear and anticipation, unsure of what would be uncovered next. Would they finally discover freedom and honesty, or be shackled by its weight? Mia cleared her throat, and her voice quavered as she opened the first letter. "Dear Mia," she began, the words trembling in the cool evening air. "There are things I'm afraid to tell Sarah." Each heartbeat reverberated in Jack's ears. The crowd's murmurs faded into a hollow silence, their attention locked onto the unfolding drama. Jack caught Sarah's glance, and it was as if the air between them pulsed with unspoken questions. Would this revelation shatter their fragile connection, or could it serve as the anchor they needed? His heart raced, echoing the conflicting wants circling in his mind. He wanted to scream for Mia to stop, to let the past be. But a sliver of truth brimming with possibilities kept him silent. "But I fear the consequences," Mia continued, her voice gaining strength. "I never intended for you to find out. But I know now that keeping these secrets only protects you from the truth you deserve." As she read, Sarah's expression shifted, flickering from curiosity to confusion. Jack watched as tension brewed in her brow. Each word was a stinging accusation against the world they didn't know and the mother they had lost. She had a sister, Mia revealed, eyes widening at the confession that had been cloistered in silence for so long. A sister who never stopped searching for her. In those letters, your mother, she loved her. She loved you, but fear took over when her past came knocking. A gasp rippled through the crowd. Sarah's hand flew to her mouth, but it did little to contain the swell of emotions. She looked like a ship caught in a storm, tossed between waves of shock and grief. Jack moved closer, instinct guiding his feet, fiercely protective yet also aching to provide comfort. Mia paused, the weight of her words settling in the air. A tear rolled down her cheek as she whispered, "She never wanted to hurt you." With that vulnerability, the room seemed to shrink, the outside world sinking away. They all hung on the frail cord of Mia's voice. But why did she leave? Was she running from her sister? Sarah finally managed, the fire in her eyes rekindled by anger. Mia shook her head. "No, she was running to you. She thought she could protect you from the stories that threatened to unravel your happiness." As Mia continued to read the letters, revealing tales of love, loss, and gnawing fear, Jack's heart sank deeper into the labyrinth of despair and hope. Each letter had transformed into snapshots of a woman he only knew through shadows. "And though I'll never forget the family we lost, I don't want you to suffer for it," Mia read, her voice thick with emotion. "You're the light of my life, Sarah." The truth unfurled, as layers of history peeled back to reveal connections once thought severed. A gasp, muffled cries, voices rising in disbelief. Those were the sounds of a family grappling with the aftershocks of a shared past. Jack reached for Sarah's hand as she stepped forward, her face colored with determination, but shadowed with uncertainty. "Who is she? Where is she now?" Her voice broke through the overwhelmed silence. Mia hesitated. "She's still out there, searching." The crowd drew closer, that electric feeling of discovery buzzing through the air. And as the weight of the present threatened to crash down on all of them, Jack knew this was just the beginning. The moment they all dreaded loomed closer, yet Jack felt a flicker of hope. Could they confront the unknown? And who else might be waiting in the wings, waiting for their moment to step into the light? As Sarah's eyes stabbed through with determination, Jack felt a pull deep within. Whispers of a long-lost sister echoed around them, hinting at a deeper story still waiting to be told. Would they have the courage to follow the thread of their family history, or would fear keep them shackled to the past? The chatter of the crowd faded to a low thrum as Sarah's probing question hung in the air like a storm cloud. Jack felt the strain of uncertainty gnawed at his stomach. Every moment stretched, every eye in the gathering pinned on them, waiting. Mia's breath hitched as she took a moment to compose herself, and for Jack, time felt suspended. It was as if the universe held its breath just for them. "Sarah, I need you to understand," Mia finally said, her voice trembling again. "Finding your sister after all these years isn't just about reconnecting. It's about confronting the ghosts of the past." Her eyes locked onto Sarah's, a desperate plea flickering in them. The weight of Mia's words settled heavily on Sarah's shoulders, weighing her down with unasked questions. Jack could see the fight brewing within her. Would she boldly face this unknown sister? Or would she hesitate, overwhelmed by the memories that had been hidden for so long? "Are you saying she's been looking for me?" Sarah's voice broke slightly, revealing layers of hope beneath her wrath. She didn't wait for an answer, stepping forward, her face ablaze with a mixture of yearning and fear. "Why didn't she just come back? Why all the secrets?" Mia lowered her gaze, shame washing over her features. "She was afraid of losing you, afraid of the pain her past could bring back into your life. She chose to hide and in doing so, lost so much more than she realized." Jack could feel all of their emotions swirling in that moment: fear, hope, anger. It was all a tangled web of family ties that had brought them here. "This is the moment, Sarah. This could be your chance." He reached for her shoulder, giving it a reassuring squeeze, trying to remind her that she wasn't alone in this tumultuous battle. As Sarah bore her heart to Mia, their eyes locked in an exchange that spoke volumes. They were two wounded souls trying to make sense of lives disrupted by one woman's choice to run. The crowd leaned in, eager to bear witness to this unresolved tale that bound them all. "What if this all leads to more pain?" Sarah finally murmured, the fierce determination in her eyes competing against the tremor of doubt. "What if I find her and she isn't who I expect? What if she doesn't want me?" Jack felt a sharp pang as he met her gaze. "But what if she does, Sarah? What if she's just as scared and lonely as you are right now?" Sarah pulled in a shaky breath, the resolve in her eyes flickering like a candle in the dark. "So, what do we do next?" Mia wiped the tears from her cheeks, taking a shaky step forward. "I have a way to find her. I've kept all the letters. They might hold the clues we need. But you have to promise me, no matter what, that you'll be brave." They all stood there, on the brink of something monumental. Jack could feel the energy radiating between them, a mixing of fears and hopes, intermingling to forge a path forward. "Then let us do it," Sarah declared, her voice firm and unwavering. In that moment, a collective breath went around the gathering, an unspoken agreement wrapping them in hope. But just as they began to plot their next move, a sudden commotion broke the fragile bubble of intention. A figure burst through the crowd, hair wild and eyes wide. "I'm here. I've found you, Sarah." All heads turned. Jack's heart raced as he locked eyes on the newcomer. Could this be the sister they had been searching for? As questions spiraled in his mind, the energy shifted again. Would this revelation change everything they had just unearthed, or would it plunge them deeper into the tangled history they all yearned to understand? The air crackled with anticipation as the crowd parted, revealing a young woman who looked strikingly familiar yet utterly different. Jack squinted, trying to piece together the confusion swirling in his mind. This was no ordinary appearance, this was a moment that could rewrite everything. "Who are you?" Sarah's voice quivered, her initial shock melting into an urgent need for clarity. The young woman took a step forward, her breath uneven with emotions. "I'm Emily. Your sister. I've been looking for you for so long." Sarah's face paled. "Emily?" The name hung in the air like a haunting melody. "But how? Why no?" Before Emily could respond, a low murmur gathered among the gathering, hushed whispers buzzing with disbelief and intrigue. Families often carried stories that intertwined by fate, yet this felt surreal. Jack could sense the ripple of emotions on Sarah's face: joy, confusion, hope mingled with fear. "I can't believe this is real," Mia whispered, eyes widening with a mix of disbelief and relief. They had been waiting for this for ages, yet nothing could truly prepare them for the reality of this reunion. Emily ran a hand through her disheveled hair, her eyes glittering with unshed tears. "I never wanted to disappear. I needed to protect you, protect us. There were things I thought I could shield you from, but the truth has always been there, separating us and keeping us apart." Sarah's heart raced. But why didn't you ever reach out? She could barely contain the swell of words trying to break free. "All those years, did you not care enough to see me?" "I did care." Emily's voice shook, desperation creeping in. "Every day I wished I could find the strength to come back. But I was scared. Scared of what I had to face, scared of hurting you." Jack watched Sarah struggle to process this whirlwind of emotions. "You should have trusted me," she fired back, hurt spilling into her words. The crowd, sensing the tension, fell silent, holding their breath for what came next. "Trust is built, Sarah," Emily said softly. "And I thought I was protecting you by staying away. But the truth is, I never stopped loving you. Every letter I wrote, every moment I thought of you, it brought me to this day. I wanted to be present, but I was buried under my own guilt and fears." Jack felt a tightness in his chest as he watched Sarah, her pain palpable and raw. "This doesn't excuse how much you hurt me. How can I trust you now?" The words spilled out like ink, dark and filling the air between them. Emily took a shaky breath, holding her sister's gaze. "I know I've shattered your trust, but I want to rebuild it. I want to share our past, our memories. I need you to meet me halfway." As Sarah's hurt met Emily's plea for understanding, Jack felt a stirring hope within the tension. It was hard to say if this encounter would heal or divide. A gentle wind rustled through the crowd, as if nature itself sensed the gravity of this moment. Jack thought of how far they'd come, how fragile relationships could be, and how they could also bloom anew, like flowers pushing through cracks in concrete. "Tell me everything," Sarah finally said, her voice steadier but still tremulous. "I need to know the truth." Jack held his breath, feeling the weight of the seconds stretching into a new chapter. Would the truth heal them, or would it reveal wounds that ran deeper than they imagined? As Emily opened her mouth to speak, ready to unravel the threads of their lost years, a chilling silence remained. The crowd leaned in, breathless in anticipation, waiting for the answers that could forever change the course of their lives. But what secrets lay hidden in the past, ready to turn this reunion into something neither of them expected? Emily stood there, the weight of unshared secrets heavy in the air. Jack braced himself, feeling every heart in the crowd drawn tight with suspense. Sarah's eyes glistened, searching Emily's face for a flicker of truth that could bridge the years they had lost. "I was forced to leave," Emily finally said, her voice trembling. "It wasn't a choice I made lightly. There were threats, dangerous people who wouldn't let me stay. I thought I was protecting you, but I see now that all I did was build a wall between us." The crowd murmured softly. Jack could feel Sarah's pulse racing. The intensity thickened as glimpses of their childhood flashed through Sarah's mind, moments when they had played together, the shared laughter, the bond that once felt unbreakable. But what was so terrible? Sarah asked, her voice almost a whisper. What could be that dangerous? Emily's hands shook, revealing her vulnerability. It's our father. Wasn't he the man we believed he was? After he lost everything, he turned to, well, let us just say he made dangerous choices. I found myself caught in a world I didn't understand. I thought he would come for you too. That's why I ran. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Jack's throat tightened. The revelation painted a new picture of Emily's departure, casting shadows on memories they shared as children. Sarah's expression shifted from hurt to anger, a flame igniting within her. So, you let me suffer alone? She shot back, an edge to her tone. You didn't even think to tell me? I tried. Emily insisted, her voice breaking. Tears streamed down her cheeks. I wanted to come back. I thought it was safe. But every time I tried to reach out, it felt like the danger was just too close. I didn't know how to find you without putting you at risk. Jack's heart ached for them, a tragic cycle of love mixed with fear. He couldn't imagine what it would be like to always look over your shoulder, terrified of what was waiting behind you. And all those letters? Were they just lies? Sarah pressed on, her voice rising. They were never lies. They were pieces of my heart, every single word, Emily pleaded, desperation etched in her features. I wrote to you about my life, my dreams. I wanted you to know that you were always in my thoughts. You were my reason for holding on. The crowd shifted restlessly, emotions churning around them. Jack felt the weight of weighty decisions pressing on Sarah. Did she want to take a chance on her sister again? I don't know if I can forgive you, she finally said, her tone softening. You've kept so much from me. Emily's face fell. I know I don't deserve your forgiveness, but I'm willing to fight for it. I can't change the past, but I want to be in your life moving forward if you'll let me. Tension hung in the air, heavy with unspoken words. Jack could see the struggle in Sarah's eyes. This was bigger than just a long-lost sister. It was about trust, fear, and the love that had been buried under layers of hurt. After a long pause, Sarah finally exhaled, a battle of emotions warring inside her. What if your father comes for us? Will you just run away again? Emily shook her head with determination. I'll never run again. Not from you. I'll do whatever it takes to keep you safe. You're my sister, and I won't let fear dictate our lives anymore. Jack felt time stand still. It was a powerful promise, but would it be enough to dissolve the wounds and allow them to take a step forward? The crowd watched, hearts in sync with the sisters' moment. Sarah's breathing slowed as she leaned in closer, a spark of hope flickering in her eyes. Then prove it. As those words lingered in the air, Jack's heart raced. The ties of family could either strengthen or unravel in moments like this. What would it take for Emily to truly prove herself? And in that silence, they all knew this was just the beginning. The air buzzed with tension, thick and electric, as Sarah studied Emily's face for a trace of deceit. The crowd held its breath. Jack could see their shared childhood reflected in Sarah's eyes, a lifetime of unspoken love and pain wrapped in one moment. What do you want to do, Sarah? Jack whispered, his voice merely a hush between them. I don't know. Her voice trembled as she glanced from Emily to Jack. I want to trust her. I want to believe her, but she ran away. She chose to leave me in a world that scared me. What kind of sister does that? It was self-preservation, Sarah. She was doing what she thought was right. Jack scanned Emily's face, torn, raw, and pleading. It was clear she'd carried a burden for too long. Maybe she's right. You can't hold her past against her forever. Sarah's features softened imperceptibly, but the fight remained in her eyes. You don't understand. I lost everything the moment she left. My childhood felt stolen. And now she stands in front of me, asking for forgiveness with no idea of the darkness I faced alone. Sarah, Emily said, her voice breaking through the tension. You don't have to forgive me today. Just give me a chance to show you I'm different. I've battled those demons too. There was a newfound steadiness in her tone. I'm not the girl who ran away anymore. I'm a woman who wants to protect what we have left. The weight of her words hung in the air, a solemn promise. The crowd fidgeted, sensing the gravity of their exchange. Jack felt the urge to stand up for both of them. Look, you've both been through hell. Rick may have made his choices, but so did Emily. Running away doesn't mean she didn't take care. Sarah's gaze flickered to Jack, momentarily distracted by his impassioned defense. Could she trust the man who had become her anchor in uncertainty? Was he giving her advice or pushing her toward a foolish leap? Fine, Sarah said, gathering strength. If you want to prove you're different now, then come back to my house tonight. Just you. No one else. We'll talk about our lives. We'll see if you can even look at me without the past hanging over you. Emily took a deep, visible breath, a mix of hope and fear filling her chest. I will. I promise I'll be there. The crowd watched, uncertain whether to cheer for the fragile step forward or mourn for the distance still between them. Jack could feel Sarah's heart racing in her chest, a mirrored fear reflecting back at Emily's pleading eyes. Would this fragile truce hold? Your father, Jack suddenly interjected. What happens if he finds out you're back? If he comes after you and by extension Sarah? Emily's face paled. I'll deal with him. I've avoided him long enough, but I want to run. Not anymore. Would that be enough to keep them safe? Jack wondered silently. As Emily and Sarah stood face to face, the shadows of regret danced between them. The commitment to confront the past felt monumental, but would the truth be their salvation or their doom? Jack looked around at the crowd, unsure of their reactions. Fear and hope intermingled in the air like a heavy fog, and Jack couldn't shake the feeling that something terrible was looming. The stakes were rising. Maybe tonight will tell us everything we need to know, he said, trying to hold on to that flicker of optimism. But as the crowd began to disperse, sunlight dimmed and shadows stretched long. The night would come, and secrets buried deep would rise again. What awaited them in the darkness? Jack could almost hear the weight of the question hovering in the air, and with it, the uncertainty loomed larger than ever. The evening air grew heavy as the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in hues of orange and purple. Sarah sat at the kitchen table, her fingers drumming on the wood in a restless rhythm. The house felt too quiet, too empty without the promise of their confrontation echoing in the space. Jack was pacing nearby, occasionally glancing at his watch. You okay? He asked, breaking the silence. I don't know what to expect. What if it all falls apart again? She forced a smile, but the uncertainty shadowed her eyes. Jack stepped closer, his presence comfortable and reassuring. You're stronger than you know. Whatever happens tonight, you're not going to be alone. I'll be right here. The doorbell rang, cutting through the tension like a sharp blade. Sarah's heart jumped into her throat. This was it. Taking a deep breath, she shot a glance at Jack before heading to the door. With each step, the weight of years spent apart pressed down on her, transforming anticipation into anxiety. She opened the door to find Emily standing there, her figure silhouetted against the dimming light. For a moment, Sarah took her in the familiar shape of her sister, but with something different in her eyes, something almost fragile. The years had changed them both, marking time with scars that wouldn't easily fade. Hey, Emily said, her voice trembling. Hey, Sarah replied, her voice barely above a whisper. The air crackled with emotion as they stood there, both unsure of the next move. It felt like facing a ghost, one who had haunted her dreams and nightmares. Jack observed from a distance, letting the sisters navigate this moment on their own. Can I come in? Emily asked, biting her lip, a nervous habit Sarah remembered well. Yeah, please. Sarah stepped aside, the small gesture filled with both wariness and hope. Once inside, Sarah motioned for Emily to sit. They settled into the kitchen, the table a battleground ready to witness their stories. Jack lingered near the counter, ready to intervene if needed, yet wanting to give them space. Thank you for coming, Sarah said, the words tumbling out. I know things aren't easy between us. Emily nodded, rubbing her hands together anxiously. It's been a long time. I thought I didn't know if you'd even want to see me again. I didn't at first. But she paused, looking at Jack for support. He helped me realize that maybe I need to understand why you left. I want to know what happened. Emily's eyes glistened, and the weight of their unspoken feelings hung between them. I never meant to abandon you. I was scared. I was just a kid, running from our father and everything that felt like a cage. I thought if I got away, you'd be safe. You left me to deal with it alone. I had to grow up so fast." The words rushed out, a stream of pent-up frustration and hurt. "But you don't know what I went through. The guilt of leaving you behind, it killed me every day." Emily's voice cracked, and Sarah felt her resolve weakening. Jack stepped forward, his tone gentle yet firm. "You both suffered. This isn't about blaming each other. It's about healing together." "That's easy for you to say, Jack." Sarah snapped, the anger bubbling to the surface unexpectedly. "You didn't live through it." "True," he admitted, but his eyes were steady. "But I care about you both, and I can see the love you have for each other beneath the pain. It's there waiting if you're ready to let it in." Sarah met Emily's gaze, the years of bitterness and heartbreak beginning to crack. The vision of a sisterhood lost, but not irretrievable, flickered in the recesses of her mind. "Maybe we can start by talking about what we both need to let go of," Emily suggested, her voice softening. As they began to share their truths, the world outside faded, leaving only them two sisters standing on the edge of possibility, teetering between old wounds and new beginnings. But just when the atmosphere had shifted closer to understanding, the unmistakable sound of footsteps echoed from outside. A shadow swept past the window, and a chill crawled down Sarah's spine. "Did you hear that?" she whispered, tension rising anew. Something dark loomed just beyond their fragile moment of reconciliation. What was waiting outside, and would their fragile bond survive the impending storm? Jack's heart raced as the footsteps grew louder, each thud echoing with a menacing rhythm. Sarah and Emily exchanged frantic glances, the reality of their conversation colliding with the unknown lurking at their doorstep. The night had seemed promising, filled with the potential for healing until now. "Stay here," Jack said firmly, his protective instincts kicking in full throttle. He stepped toward the door, muscles tense, ready to confront whatever shadow threatened their moment. With each step, he felt the weight of Sarah's fear behind him, mingling with Emily's growing dread. As he opened the door with cautious resolve, there stood Ian, looking worse for wear but filled with urgency. "Jack, I'm glad I found you. We need to talk," he said, words spilling out in a hurry. "I've seen some strange things around the house, things related to the past. There are whispers that your father might be coming back." Jack felt a chill sweep through him at the mention of his father. Memories of anger and betrayal flooded his mind. He turned, facing Sarah and Emily, whose faces reflected a mix of fear and confusion. "What do you mean?" Jack pressed, the urgency of the moment amplifying rapidly. "He's been asking questions," Ian continued, his voice shaking. "He's looking for both of you, looking for Emily. I don't know if he's alone, but you need to be careful. I didn't want to scare anyone, but I thought it was important you knew." Sarah gasped, heart hammering in her chest. Jack could feel the air shift in the room, tension thickening like smoke. "This is insane," she breathed. "I thought I was safe, that I could finally have my sister back without shadows hanging over us." Emily's eyes widened with realization and guilt. "This is all my fault. I dragged you back into this mess," she said, panic rising. "You're in danger because of me." At that moment, Jack stepped forward, placing a steadying hand on Emily's shoulder. "No one is to blame here, not you or Sarah. We'll face this together. I want to let him tear apart what we're starting to rebuild." Together, Sarah echoed, finding strength in Jack's resolution. It stirred something deep within her, a fierce determination to protect the connection they were teetering on, fragile yet vibrant. "Maybe we can confront him," she suggested, her voice hardening with resolve. "If we stand united, he won't have the power over us anymore." Jack nodded, feeling the weight of her conviction. "But we have to be careful. We need to keep each other safe. This isn't just about the past anymore, it's about our future." The three of them congregated in a tight circle, hearts pounding in unison. Yes, the past was heavy with shadows, but the bonds forming in that moment flickered brightly. They began to lay plans, strategies swirling between them like autumn leaves caught in a gust of wind. In the growing darkness outside, Jack felt bolstered by a shared purpose. As they settled on actions to take, He caught Sarah's eyes, determined and fierce, holding the promise of healing. And then Emily, stepping forward with the resolve of a woman ready to reclaim her place. That night, they forged a pact, one that transcended past grievances and fears. No matter what happened, they would face it together. The stakes were high, but hope flickered in their hearts, lighting the way. As hours dragged on, they plotted, waited, and guarded each other. Voices bounced off cold walls like echoes of their talk, resonating for the future they wished to grasp. The door creaked suddenly, rattling against its hinges. Jack's heart leaped as he reached for an old, rusty pipe wrench, adrenaline coursing through him. A rustle outside made them stop. They exchanged uneasy glances before locking eyes. This was it. The past was at the threshold, ready to challenge them all. The door swung open slowly, revealing a figure cloaked in darkness, his features obscured. The atmosphere crackled, anticipation thick in the air. Jack's grip tightened on the wrench, ready for whatever lay ahead. "Hello, Emily," the figure spoke, voice low and smooth, familiar yet foreign. Shadows cascaded over his expression as the trio braced themselves, hearts pounding in concert. "Tom," Emily hissed, recognizing the voice. The moment hung heavy, thick with unspoken words and raw emotions, fear mingling with resolve. Would they dismiss the past, shoving it back into the dark, or accept it as part of their story and draw strength from it? Realization crashed over Jack. Here stood the opportunity to redefine their family, to reclaim their ties and refuse to be chained by fear any longer. No more running. No more hiding. Jack stepped forward, meting out courage through each word. "You can't tear us apart anymore. This is our moment to stand together, unyielding." As they held on to that newly forged bond, the shadows felt less ominous. Together, they faced their father and the ghosts from their past, a force fueled by love and resilience. The battle would be tough, but they knew they wouldn't be alone. Possibilities flared around them like the dawn breaking a new beginning amid the twilight. This was only the start of a promise, to rise with strength, to claim their identities as a family bound not by fear, but by a deep-seated commitment to each other. As dawn broke, they waited for the storm that might come, ready to face it together. Subscribe immediately to the channel if you haven't yet. You need to stay updated for the next exclusive stories that will inspire you. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and support the community. Comment your thoughts and feelings about the ending, it means so much to us. And don't wait not even one more second, share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this incredible transformation. Only true fans understand the importance of these actions.